Chapter 2: Secrets of the Aegean. The Starlight Voyager sliced through the calm Aegean Sea, its hull glistening under the Mediterranean sun. For this trip, the guests were an eclectic mix: a novelist seeking inspiration, an amateur archaeologist on a treasure hunting mission, and a group of friends reuniting after years apart. Captain Dana Silver Gray navigated the yacht with her usual precision, her eyes sweeping the blue horizon. The promise of ancient ruins beneath the waves and myths about submerged cities had lured this particular group, and Silver could sense an adventure brewing. Camille, the yacht's marine biologist, was in her element, eager to dive into these waters rich with history. "I've read stories of submerged temples here," she mused, joining Silver on the bridge. "They say the Greeks built them to honor gods of the sea." "Aye," Silver replied, her face unreadable behind her aviator sunglasses. "But not everything buried beneath the waves is meant to be found." Below deck, Aiden busied himself in the galley, humming an old Greek folk tune. The scent of garlic and herbs filled the yacht, mingling with the salt air. He'd planned a feast that night, inspired by the local cuisine. Cooking at sea was unpredictable, but Aiden thrived on challenges. Ray, the ever-grumbling engineer, clambered onto the deck with his toolbox in hand. The yacht's systems were holding steady, but he'd heard the stories too: mechanical failures, odd storms, and compass needles going wild near ancient sites. He'd been around long enough to know that sometimes the sea played by its own rules. As they neared a small, secluded cove dotted with rocky outcroppings, Camille, Isla, and a few of the guests prepared to snorkel. The Aegean's turquoise waters were remarkably clear, revealing hints of submerged ruins below: stone columns, fractured mosaics, and what looked like remnants of an ancient altar. Camille slipped into the water, her excitement palpable. Isla followed close behind, clutching a waterproof camera. As they descended, the sun filtering through the waves illuminated the ruins, casting ethereal patterns over the stone. Camille's flashlight revealed even more: intricate carvings of mythological creatures and symbols no one had deciphered in centuries. The guests swam alongside, captivated. The novelist, a wiry man named Leo, seemed particularly inspired, scribbling notes on his waterproof notepad whenever he surfaced. Meanwhile, on deck, Ray kept an eye on the water, his grumbling more intense than usual. "People sticking their noses where they shouldn't," he muttered. "This place gives me the creeps." Silver joined him, scanning the horizon. "They're just ruins, Ray. Relax." But as the sun began to dip, the atmosphere grew tense. The wind picked up, swirling in sudden gusts that sent shivers through the air. Silver's instincts kicked in, sensing a change in the currents. "Everyone back on board," she called out. Camille, Isla, and the guests surfaced, though Camille seemed reluctant. "Silver, there's so much down there, it's like a city lost in time." "We don't want to be here when the sun sets," Silver replied, her voice calm but firm. Just as everyone clambered aboard, the waves began to swell, lapping against the yacht's sides with unnatural force. Silver took the helm, her hands steady, guiding the Starlight Voyager away from the cove. But the current seemed to resist, as if something beneath the waves was pulling them back. "Ray!" Silver shouted. "Give me full power!" Ray rushed to the engine room, his muttered curses barely audible over the rising winds. "You're pushing her too hard, Cap," he growled, but he knew Silver didn't take risks lightly. Finally, they broke free of the cove, the open sea stretching before them once more. The storm passed as quickly as it had appeared, the waves calming as if nothing had happened. That night, the crew and guests gathered on deck, Aiden's feast of grilled lamb, olives, and feta bringing a sense of warmth back to the evening. Camille shared her findings, her eyes alight with wonder. The carvings down there, they told a story, a tale of a sea god who protected the island, but at a cost. Leo nodded, clearly inspired. Perhaps that's why the ruins remain hidden. Some things are meant to be left in peace. Silver listened in silence, her gaze fixed on the horizon. As the stars emerged one by one, she whispered, almost to herself, "The sea has secrets, and sometimes it's best not to pry." The guests eventually retired, exhausted but exhilarated. As the Starlight Voyager drifted gently on the moonlit waters, the crew shared a quiet moment on the deck, the ancient mysteries of the Aegean still lingering in their minds. Each of them knew, in their own way, that they'd touched something timeless, something that would remain part of them, deep beneath the stars and waves.